Dianne.
And this is Marnell.
And welcome to another episode of Biters, in which we talk about Fear the Walking Dead.
We are on Season 3, Episode 12, Brother's Keeper.
So, why don't you just hit me with your rating right off?
I did rate this one a little high. Like, yeah, I liked it, but there were some parts that I really didn't like. But overall, there was a lot of movement. There was a lot of action. We're going somewhere with the storylines. I gave it a 4.25 Diaries of a Psychopath.
Well, I think our ratings are a little more in line because I rated it a little lower. And I said it was 3.8 out of 5 Oz-like cellar doors. So, let's see, the ratings for last week, the viewers for last week, it was 2.078 million for the same day view of La Serpiente. And
So
I think it was up a little, and
yeah.
I get confused sometimes because we do a couple of podcasts together, but I want to say that Fear didn't make the ratings because of the hurricane the time before.
Oh,
or
yeah.
was it Preacher that didn't make? No, we're not that caught up with Preacher. It was Fear that didn't make the top 25 because of the hurricane news the weekend before. So it's actually back in the top 25. I think it was somewhere in the top 15.
Yeah, because after the hurricane happens, then nobody cares.
Right. Which, by the way, since we kind of made a little plea the last time we podcasted together for people to consider helping Texas and Florida, I did look at an article last night, and there are a couple of different charities that are working actively in Puerto Rico. So you can certainly Google how to help Puerto Rico, and if you are so inclined, there are certainly charities that are working there. I did a donation to a group called United for Puerto Rico, and it is headed up by the First Lady of Puerto Rico. So it would be nice if you have some largesse to share to do that, because people in Puerto Rico are really suffering right now.
Yes, and I didn't know that people didn't know this, but I guess living in Alaska, people assume that we're not part of the United States, like a lot. Puerto Rico is part of the United States. They are not a state. They're a territory, I believe.
Yes.
So those are Americans. Like, help your fellow American. Like, So, yeah, those are Americans down there. Those are not some, like, weird, crazy foreigners. They don't get a vote in our elections, but they certainly are part of our country. So help your fellow American. Help your fellow man.
Dang it, I'm going to make it political again, and we really shouldn't, but I read a really good article that said that should not be the litmus test for why you support people or not. I mean, that shouldn't be the reason that people feel obligated to support citizens in Puerto Rico. The bottom line is these people are experiencing their own apocalypse minus zombies.
Right,
So,
no, but I think with all the people who are tossing around their patriotism lately...
Good Lord, we really are getting political.
Yeah, well, no matter what side you're on, you will consider yourself a patriot one way or another. Maybe have a little action instead of being all talk. I think maybe your actions say a little bit more about you than, what your Facebook says about you. So, yeah.
All
Donate
right.
some money.
So we're saying left, right, in the middle of center, please help the people of Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And now back to your regularly scheduled zombie apocalypse.
Which apparently I started. I'm still recovering from my pneumonia, and I don't know how to mute the mic. So every once in a while, I might like just tear the mic away and start coughing. So you'll excuse me if I do.
I need to get you a good mic so that it has the mute button right on it with a big red stare at you.
Well, I have a giant cup of tea, so hopefully I can save off from coughing for an hour.
Well, if you hear a metallic clicking, I'm working on the hat that I'm making out of zombie barbecue yarn. I'm not kidding you.
Zombie barbecue yarn?
That is the name of the colorway in this yarn.
Right.
So for people who are not knitters, which I suspect are most of the people who are still listening to this podcast, if there's even 10 of you, um, colorway is kind of how they name a particular color of a yarn. And this one, when I was online searching for yarn, was honest to God named Zombie Apocalypse. And it's kind of this creamy green, more of a forest green, kind of a magenta, and then some purpley grays. And I thought, oh my God, it's named Zombie Apocalypse. I have to have it. So I bought the last 2 skeins.
Oh my goodness, that is so funny.
Lovely. It is so soft.
What an apt name too, with like gray, magenta, green.
Exactly. I mean, it really does kind of look like Bob's Barbecue.
Oh, Sephora's gonna come out with like a Robert Kirkland eyeshadow palette. It's gonna be all
Robert
those
Kirkland
colors.
palette. Yeah, there you go. That's funny. So Brothers Keeper, did you look up where that came from? Because I knew I recognized the quote and I wanted to be sure.
I didn't, so I'm glad that you probably did since you were bringing it up.
Well, so this is kind of shades of preacher. Here we get into our biblical stuff, but this episode, this series certainly has its biblical apocalyptic moments, so it seems appropriate. And Sam Underwood, the guy who played Jake, is actually talked on Talking Dead about how people have referred to him as Cain and Abel. Well, so the phrase "brother's keeper" comes from Genesis chapter 4, verse 9, and God is asking Cain where Abel is after Cain has killed Abel, and Abel smarts off and says, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?"
Wow.
And I mean, I think it's a very appropriate name. The origin is very appropriate because I think that you and I have talked at certain points about Sam and... Not Sam. Sorry, Sam is the actor. About Jake and Troy being kind of a Cain and Abel.
Yeah, and you know, in the very beginning of the show, a la season 1, I think we talked about Alicia being Nick's keeper a lot.
Right.
So, yeah.
So that's definitely where it comes from. It was actually really interesting. I just went to Wikipedia and looked up Brothers Keeper, and there are just an incredible number of references, books with the same name or the theme, songs with that name, movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
It was pretty interesting looking at it. So a little shade of preacher there for you. Little biblical quote there.
Which we will get caught up someday on. We are already a couple of days behind on this one, so... Well,
I noticed that Rob published two podcast episodes this week, so people should be good this week.
Yeah, good, sweet.
So our writer was a guy named Wes Brown, and we talked a little bit about him last week. He actually only has Fear the Walking Dead credits on his IMDb page right now. He's been a story editor and a writer on Fear. The director is a guy that we've talked about before, but not in the context of Fear. So this is his first episode involved with Fear the Walking Dead. But he has actually directed 3 episodes of Walking Dead proper.
Dead.
Yeah. So Bury Me Here, which was the episode where Richard is killed. Mm-hmm. The Cell, which is Daryl's episode kind of being tortured by the Saviors with that song Easy Street over and over and over again. And then Twice as Far, which wasn't that the episode where Denise died?
Yes.
Because I remember that as the episode where they were walking along the railroad tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's actually got some Walking Dead proper credits.
Well, it looks like he's got a really good resume even before that.
Yeah.
Directing. So, kind of cool of them to get a professional in on what I consider to be a bigger episode.
Right. Well, and so here's a couple of other things that I thought were little nice tidbits about Alric Riley. I hope I'm saying his name right. He's got stuff like NICS, Once Upon a Time, Lucifer. He actually did an episode of Outcast, which is the Kirkman comic book property that was optioned by Showtime.
Yep.
And then I was laughing. I was like, oh my God, he must be a Brit because he directed some of the Inspector Lynley mysteries, which you probably aren't familiar with. Most people probably aren't.
No.
But Elizabeth George is a mystery writer, a British mystery writer, and she's amazing. If you like mysteries, she's really worth reading. Her first book, A Great Deliverance, just totally sucks you in.
Huh.
And Inspector Lynley is the main character of most of her mysteries.
Interesting.
So I was like, oh, this guy must be a Brit. And then I looked at further down his list, and he directed a short called I Love My Mum. I was like, okay, yeah, he is a Brit.
So that makes me wonder if his name is actually Alaric.
I think it's Alric, Alrick, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
I'll have to talk to my little British medical assistant, see what she has to say.
That's funny.
And then featured cast, I just thought we would talk about Jake again, because I'm so bummed that he's leaving.
I know. And, I think at least one of us predicted it by early in this season, which was earlier this year, because we had like a 3-month break or something ridiculous.
Right.
I think it was one of our like bold predictions or something of like who was gonna be the death at the end of the season.
I'm pretty sure we both agreed that he was going to be toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on Talking Dead, and of course, Chris Hardwick immediately was like, you shouldn't be the moral compass. If you're the moral compass, you die.
Yep, you do.
So there wasn't anything really new on his IMDb page. The actor is Sam Underwood. But he did say when he was on Talking Dead that he was doing some theater work right now, and it sounds like he's more on the other side of the stage. He's doing some directing, maybe some stage managing, and he did say he was kind of waiting for his next acting job to crop up.
Right. It looks like he's written, produced, and is starring in Ophelia as Hamlet. So.
Oh. You mean so it must be a rewrite, a retelling of Hamlet from Ophelia's point of view?
It looks like a short. So it's just a 12-minute little short drama.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I liked him. I thought he was a good actor. He actually was incredibly different on the couch on Talking Dead than he was as Jake in the series, and I really appreciated that.
How so? I don't, because I don't get AMC. I don't watch the Talking Dead for the fear. I do watch it for Walking Dead Prime, but so I didn't watch. So how is he different?
So he seemed a lot younger and a lot funnier and less serious, which makes sense, because he's not in the setting of the zombie apocalypse. But he also was very British, and I thought that he shed that very well for his Southwest American role.
That's so interesting because, I think I've said the only other thing that I really know him from was he played twin psychopaths in the show The Following that had Kevin Bacon as a detective or an FBI agent or something.
Well, and so he was saying that it's very, very rare for him to play a good guy and a moral compass. Yeah. And he's actually kind of looking forward to playing a psychopath again.
And so it's funny, basically Jake is his role, and he's not Jake. I don't know if maybe he went out for Jake and they were like, no, we're going to make you Troy. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah, because that's typically what he plays, it sounds like.
Yeah. I wonder if he auditioned for the role of Troy and they were like, no, we're going to make you Jake. We're going to make you the good guy. You need to expand your horizons, dude.
Well, it sounds like he's ready to slink back into infamy. So
he'll be missed.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. I really liked him on the show.
I did too.
I'm really hoping that Troy dies soon. Hope springs eternal.
Right. Well, we might as well launch into our good, bad, and ugly on that note.
Sure.
So I'll go first. I usually make you start, so I'll go first with my good. Okay. So my good was Jake's death. because I thought he was a really good zombie. I liked the way that he reanimated. It was almost shades of Amy from the original
I thought the
series.
same thing.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
just that very feral and wild thing that had nothing to do with who Jake was as a person.
Yeah. And
And
it wasn't a leap up and try and bite everyone. It was a slow come to be.
and the other thing that I really liked was when they cut off his arm.
Mm-hmm.
That was just such a good shot of his arm. I know that's a small thing, but the gag was really good. And the way that it was showing the bony structure of his forearm with the radius and ulna sticking out, it was really good. I
I
really
love your
liked
medical
it.
knowledge.
I know, it's terrible, isn't it? Like,
How
I hope I never see that anywhere that I have to act on it, but boy, that was cool.
However, I have a little bit of a rant on that.
Okay,
They
you go,
waited.
girl.
They waited far too long.
Well, you know,
Like,
Chris Hardwick did say that they didn't quite pay attention to the Herschel episode.
okay, I was gonna say, like, Herschel's, it was like, I'm bit, bam.
Yeah.
There was no second thinking of it. Wait a minute, like nothing. It was just bit, sever.
So did Jake turn because they waited too long, or did Jake turn because he bled out, died, and then turned?
I think Jake bled out.
I do too.
Yeah, no. I think they waited too long for my comfort. Like, that was too close for comfort for me.
Right.
But I really think that he just bled out. I mean, I don't even remember any of one of them whipping off their belts to do a tourniquet or anything. I think they were just like, here, hold his shirt in place over it.
Thank you very much. That's definitely something I was thinking, that I would not want Troy Otto to be my field medic.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. I could do a better job. And I don't even wear a belt.
Stockings. So what was yours?
My good was Alicia and the other members of the group fighting their way to the pantry.
To
like
the
that
Oz-like door.
Yeah, the Oz-like door. So this is gonna be part of my bad, but I really she's every time we see her in a very dramatic and she needs to hold her own type situation, she just shines. Like, I love this girl. She's my girl. She ran out of bullets, so she just started swinging the butt of her gun. I mean, there was no giving up. There was no, and then she had to, one of the guys got grabbed by a couple of the walkers and was being chewed on, and she took the shot. She did the mercy kill. She shot him in the head, and she paused for a second, and they kind of had a moment where they locked eyes, and there was the understanding, and she didn't want to do it, but she forced herself to do it. She's the one that's been making a lot of the hard decisions and taking a lot of the initiative to do things, and her fighting her way back. And Ophelia, was it?
Yes, Ophelia.
Yeah. Was like, go. They'll follow you. Meaning the other members of the ranch will follow her.
Right.
She's such a leader now, and she's right now the only member of the kind of leadership of the ranch. Even though she's a newcomer, people look to her. And now that Jake's dead, her mom,
no one knows yet, but
no one knows yet. Mom and Nick are gone. So, she's the one kind of holding things together, and just the scene of her just soldiering through, fighting her way in there, and, getting as many people in as possible. I think she pulled a walker off of Ophelia at one point too. I mean, she was badass this episode, and I really, really, I love seeing that in her. Like, they need to kill Madison and make Alicia a female lead.
I think that both Ophelia and Alicia were really highlighted in this battle for the ranch.
Yeah.
And I found myself not so much thinking about Alicia, but really looking at Ophelia and looking again at how much she has changed since we first saw her. I mean, remember just how mousy she was and how she deferred to both of her parents and kind of put all of her hopes and dreams aside so that she could be with her parents and care for them.
Yeah.
It just, I found myself really once again marveling at how much she has changed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see her and Salazar come back.
Provided she makes it to that meeting.
Right.
We think she will, but...
Yeah. It'll be interesting. But yeah, so that was my good, was the battling through the horde.
It was pretty cool. I mean, I think that's the first time we've seen a really big horde in this series.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we saw the dead at La Colonia, but this was way more impressive just in terms of size and scape.
Yeah, see, we've seen that a couple of times in Walking Dead Prime, where we've had the Quarry Ward, and we've had the ward that blocked Eugene and what's their names? It was the episode where he punched out Eugene.
Where Abe punched out Eugene?
Yeah. There was a horde across.
Oh, yeah, when they were on the road.
Yeah, so we've seen
after Eugene confessed that he'd lied about the CDC and all of that.
Yeah, so we've seen multiple large mobile hordes in Walking Dead Prime, but I think this is probably the biggest, most mobile one we've seen. Because even the ones that invaded the
hotel
and before that in the fire where we lost Salazar,
Abby's place.
Yeah. I mean, that was like 24, you know. This is like hundreds, maybe 1,000, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your bad?
Well, I thought about it a lot, and the thing that I kept coming back to was that the writers and producers did the obvious, that they killed Jake instead of killing Troy.
Yeah.
I think it would have been much more surprising. I think it would have been a much better plot twist to kill off Troy.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I really feel like, once again, they are telling us that the only people who survive are the people who are morally ambiguous, who are morally conflicted. The only people who survive are people like Troy and Madison.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a theme that we've explored over and over again in both series. And it's true what Chris Hardwick said, you know, the moral compass is always the first to go. We lost Travis. We lost Jake. Who did we lose? So I would say that probably Chris's mom was close to a moral compass in the first season.
The closest, yeah.
You know, Herschel, Glenn, Noah. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on of all the good people who get killed.
God, you know, Strand better watch his back, because he's about the most moral compass of anyone at this point.
You think?
Yeah.
No, he's wily. I mean, Salazar called him the serpent in the last episode.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like that there's more to him than just self-service, you know?
So I was thinking, isn't that interesting, though, that we have this second biblical reference in a row? Because I really do think that Salazar was referencing the snake in the Garden of Eden and the snake leading people astray. And then we have this next episode named Brother's Keeper.
Well, this whole, we've also had Children of Wrath this season. Minotaur, which wasn't entirely really biblical. The Diviner.
Not really biblical. Although you could make an argument that potentially they were talking about fortune tellers and witches and...
Yeah. There's a spiritual element.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, so what was your bad?
Okay, I didn't want to go back and rewatch it for a third time. Whose dumb idea was the RVs? I
didn't really catch whose idea the RVs were.
Because it wasn't Alicia's, because she's like, what are we doing? You know? I was like, that's never going to work. And even if it does, you've just ruined a dozen RVs, you know? Why didn't everyone just go in the pantry and wait for the horde to pass?
That is an excellent question. I have to say, it's an excellent question.
I don't get it. What did I miss? Like, I didn't want to watch it a third time. What did I miss? Like, that was never going to work. I mean, a better plan would have been to take one of the RVs or one of the vehicles and, like, have some sort of horde. Yeah, have some sort of loud thing and lead the horde away, you know, slowly, you know, and then just circle. I mean, basically what Glenn did with the little sports car in downtown Atlanta, you know, lead everyone away and then just floor it back home, you know. Whose idea was this? Like, oh, we're going to channel them with all the RVs, you know, and thousands of walkers aren't going to get over and under and in between and around and eventually topple the RVs. That won't happen. I'm so disappointed in that plan. I'm like, I'm pretty sure like 12-year-olds and Lord of the Flies could have come up with a better plan than this. Like,
tell us how you really feel.
You're grown people with, like, guns and responsibilities and stuff, and that's the best you got?
That is super funny.
Yeah. I mean, I know it was short notice, but good Lord. Everyone just go in the pantry. There's food and water down there. You'll be fine. So that was my bad.
They kind of made it there eventually. I mean, maybe they just had to thin the human herd a little.
I guess. We had to have more deaths than just Jake this episode, I guess.
Oh my God. Well, now I'm kind of embarrassed. So my ugly was actually the RVs. But I'll tell you why, because I looked at it and the imagery was like, cool, they're circling the wagons just like in a Western.
Okay, I thought about circling the wagons too. I was like, oh, they're circling the wagons. But I was like, that's never going to work with that amount of zombies. If it was like 3 dozen zombies, it would have worked. But you got 1,000 zombies marching towards you.
Well, and I think I didn't appreciate it because it worked. I appreciated it because it didn't work. I liked the RV gag. I thought that the RVs getting pushed over by the horde was actually reasonable. I could see that happening.
Oh, it was totally reasonable. Therefore, it was wasteful.
Right. But, you know, I mean, we're going to talk about this, I know, but this group doesn't learn.
No. Nope. Not at all.
So, you know, that's in keeping. That waste is in keeping with their inability to learn their lessons.
Yeah.
So it was a small ugly, but that was my ugly. I liked the sight gag of the circling the wagons, and I liked the way that the RVs getting trashed went down. I just thought that was good watching.
Yeah.
What was your ugly?
My ugly, I think, it was your good, but not really in the same way. That when Nick and Troy and Jake are all standing there and they're, you know, looking over the herd and everything, and Troy's about to shoot off the grenade launcher, and Troy is like, I'll do it, I'm gonna do it, you know, and like, just shoot him. Like, he needed to have been shot like a half a season ago, maybe a season ago. Like, we all think he should have been shot when he was like experimenting on people, like, you know, seeing how long it would take them.
Like when we first met him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we all thought that he should have died for that because he was crazy, you know, and horrible and a little rapey. And, you know, like, we all thought that he should have died then. And then we find out that, like, he just goes and murders Gretchen's entire family. But we don't kill him then either because it's really convenient to hold that over his head so he'll do what we want him to do for as long as a sociopath's attention span can be held.
And what you said to me before we signed on tonight was so appropriate, which is he's a sociopath. Ultimately, this is not going well.
Yeah. I mean, you can't keep that dog on a leash forever. Yeah, he's gonna bite you. So all of these times where it's like, we should have shot Troy, we should have taken Troy out, no, let's exile him. That'll never come back to bite us.
Well, and did you like that Troy actually looked at Jake and said, you wouldn't kill me before, you didn't kill me before, you're not going to do it now.
Yeah, and he was right. Wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah.
But I would just like to throw out there, I do think Nick really made the decision to sacrifice Jake to save Troy.
I do too.
And
I don't know what messed up relationship those two have, and it's different from the messed up relationship he and Madison have.
right?
But I mean, is Nick now Troy's brother's keeper?
I think so, and I think that Nick thinks to a certain degree that they're cut from the same cloth.
I love that part where, like, Troy's just like, well, why don't you kill me or whatever he said. And Nick kicks the gun over to him and he's like, kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was great. But yeah, my ugly is that I am like super annoyed that Troy has lasted this long when everybody has known that he's never gonna be good. Like, it's not that he's always bad. He's just never going to contribute anything worthwhile. And now he's gotten, probably dozens of the ranchers that we didn't even see. Probably dozens of ranchers are dead. And now his brother is
people from
dead.
the nation, too.
Yes, in the nation. And there's chaos in the camp. And we don't know when anybody's getting out of the pantry.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the bigger thing, which is that Troy is the person responsible for calling down this herd on the ranch.
Yes, absolutely.
And will Nick make that known, and will they hold him responsible for that?
No, because they never learn. Yeah, how is that going to come out? Are you just going to be like, so can I have everyone's attention? I would just like to announce that
ding,
Troy
ding,
did
this. Troy. Would you take a bow?
Troy, where are you in the audience? Wave your hands so everyone can see you. Troy here used a grenade launcher that he found at the ranch of the other dead guy to lead all these walkers here. I'm so annoyed that he's still alive. It wasn't even him that died. I mean, they couldn't even do like Jake and Troy kill each other and have both of them die, That would have been a way to tie that storyline up very neatly. Then all of the Ottos are dead.
But when you look at the big biblical reference, they did carry it through. The good brother died.
Yep.
The brother who was favored by God died.
Yep. And poor Alicia.
Right. I can't. It'll be interesting to see how she handles this.
That girl has a fatal kiss. What is that? I'm like simultaneously like heartbroken and like fearful for other men.
Right. Next dude who falls for Alicia, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Hopefully, maybe she'll fall for Jake.
Troy.
I'm sorry, Troy. Yes.
I was thinking maybe she would fall for Crazy Dog. Not that I really want him dead. I just was thinking maybe she would fall for Crazy Dog.
I think he's the next semi-age appropriate male in the circle. Although we're probably now going to be meeting at this outpost or the mall or whatever. No, not at the dam. They're meeting at the stadium thingy, the marketplace.
Right.
So she's going to be open up to a whole new world of dating potential. You want to come back to my ranch with me?
Don't go. Well, does that lead us into rotting potpourri? So what do you got?
I just love Jake's little, we could go north. The Pacific Northwest is Prepper Central.
I missed that entirely.
Oh, it was when they were talking about having to put down the cattle.
Oh,
and she's like, I'll buy you a bunch of cows.
That's funny, Prepper Central.
Yeah, he's like, the Pacific Northwest, specifically the Pacific Northwest, is Prepper Central.
Well,
and I'm like,
yeah.
you're darn tootin' we are.
I don't think he was talking about going quite as far as Alaska, but there are plenty of preppers in Washington, Idaho, and Oregon.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we tend to keep our pantry stocked because if you've ever lived anywhere in Alaska that relies on shipments of food and the barge doesn't come in, the grocery stores are positively like East German 1980.
Barren. I think the word you're looking for is barren.
Yeah. There's like no fresh fruits and vegetables, no milk. I mean, it's just, yeah. It's
you do get a liking for powdered milk.
No, you don't. You never like powdered milk. Ever.
Well, what I would like to say about this episode is, did you notice that the cold open had no dialogue whatsoever?
I loved it.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I actually felt like it captured that
the solitude.
But it also captured that kind of handsome, sinister side of Troy that we really haven't seen before. I mean, just the way that they shot him, he was much more handsome, he was much more interesting, and he was dark as sin.
I really want to know what he was scribbling down in his journals, don't you?
Maybe you'll find out.
That was my rating. It was Diaries of a Psychopath. Like, maybe I said sociopath. I don't know. I actually did have to look up the difference between psychopath and sociopath.
Oh my God, you obviously are not listening to My Favorite Murder.
No, I'm so behind on my podcast. You're in a cult. Call your father.
Oh, wait, your dad leads the cult. Never mind. So the other thing that I thought was really great, I liked that we flashed back to Phil's corpse.
Yes.
And did you notice that there was bird poop all over his shirt?
It wasn't a flashback. It was still there.
No, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that we went back to the site of Phil's corpse and saw him, and there was bird poop all over his shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that, and that's the other thing is like, Troy is this crazy guy that's going to lead like thousands of zombies into the ranch out of, I don't know, spite, fun, whatever.
Spite, I think.
And he's like nice enough to bury Phil.
Did he bury Phil? Because I was wondering what the heck happened to the body. That was the same chair, right? The chair that he was sitting in later?
Yeah, there was a scene where he was like filling in dirt on a mound, and he was kind of like beating the ground with the shovel, angrily. So he's crazy and he's a jerk and no one likes him, and then he goes and does something cool like that.
Well, even crazy jerky people can do cool things every now and then.
This sociopath has depth.
And mommy issues.
Yes, and daddy issues.
So there was definitely something that was a callback. So the whole story about the rabbit made me think about Lizzie and Lizzie torturing animals.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, just like I have a super active imagination.
Did you know that they scream?
Well, and the description of him like skinning it alive and then staking it out. Mm-hmm. Ugh. That's awful.
It is pretty awful, but it was definitely very Lizzie.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know it. His soulmate is too young for him and she lives in another state.
Yeah, she'd still be alive at this point in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
By the way, we're not even a year in, are we? We're 3 seasons in, but I don't think a year has passed.
If it has, it's just very darn close to a year because it doesn't feel like it's been that long.
Yeah, it's very difficult to tell because they really don't have seasons like we do down there.
Yeah, and there's not really any point of reference like there is. They don't make references like they do in the show. And we don't necessarily see the growth or change of characters like we did with Carl. And apparently, did you see any of the teasers? We are with Judith.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Judith is not a baby anymore.
Oh, weird.
I mean, she's not a little girl, but she's a heck of a lot bigger than she was the last time we saw her. I was like, holy cow. Time jump? Did they hold true to the time jump?
Okay, so no, that's going to be totally messed up because they're saying that Maggie's not going to have the baby in season 8.
I know.
So, Like, she's supposed to already be like 5 months along.
I don't know if she's quite that far along, but
Judith is going through puberty, and that has popped. There's something magical in the apocalypse going on.
So my other thought is maybe they hold true, because there is a time jump in the comic book. So my other thought is maybe they hold true to the comic book. There's the time jump, and actually Maggie has already given birth.
Okay.
Because that would be true to the showrunner's words that Maggie doesn't give birth during this season.
I will settle for that.
But I'm thinking not. I'm thinking she's probably going to be pregnant forever.
Yeah, no kidding. The baby's a zombie in there. I'm just super excited that Heath is coming back at some point.
I saw that you shared that article.
Oh, that man, like I said, we've talked about it before, where it's going to be possible for people like, I mean, Luciana, we could never see her again, you know?
We may see her again, who knows?
And it's totally plausible for somebody to leave the group and to never have closure, never see them alive, dead, walker, you know, nothing.
And in fact, that's much more realistic than most of the closure that happens in these shows.
Right, exactly. But for some reason, Heath was bugging me. Like, it was just driving me nuts that we had nothing on Heath. And there was, like, they left intentional clues. I mean, there was that, like, little
matchbook.
I thought it was like a hotel room key card type thing.
Oh, I thought it was a matchbook from a hotel, but maybe it was a key card holder.
Yeah.
But, you know, those would have all been for naught had his other TV shows worked out.
Yeah, that's true.
24,
that's
right?
True.
Wasn't it a reboot of 24?
Don't know.
Brian, where are you?
Yeah. Winning awards, by the way.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, Brian won some sort of award.
He got some sort of acknowledgement for the bell that he and his fellow veteran had built in Iowa.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Brian, even though I know you're not listening.
That's right. I forget you're not listening. We can say anything we want.
Brian, naner.
Brian won an award for being a dork.
All right, what else you got in your writing potpourri? Oh, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
Well, so I told you that I looked at that recap for this episode, and apparently I missed it. They dropped the F-bomb with AMC's approval.
Yes, you get like 2 a season, they said, and they used one of theirs.
Yes, and it said that they rewrote the rules, especially for Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead.
We don't say the F-bomb, but they do.
Right. So did you hear it? Where did it happen?
I didn't. No.
All right. If anyone out there is actually listening, Thomas O'Mara, I know you're listening, so you better tell us if nobody else does. Where'd they drop it? I missed it completely. I was reading it later and I went, something momentous, and I missed it.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it. I think it's because I use it like a comma in my life.
Me too.
And it's just, it's like doing the podcast is being around small children for me.
Well, and I do have to say, and I'm not going to say it because, you know, I don't want Rob to have to edit, but so because my adorable little MA is British, we say a little British variation of it. We have a great deal of fun. It's kind of our code word.
That's funny. See, and you were laughing at me on one of the shows about calling our bars pubs.
Right. Oh, no. I tease my poor medical assistant every day with my horrible British accent. And I'm like, anytime you want me to stop, you just tell me. If I'm pissing you off, tell me. She's like, no, I actually think it's really funny.
That's funny. So one of the other things I had, and this was right around the time that you may not have been paying attention because that was the Pacific Northwest or preppers.
Okay, probably not. I probably missed it.
It was when Alicia and Jake were standing there talking, and he accused her of sleeping with him.
Oh, is this a relationship or is this an alliance?
Yeah,
yes.
And that was like their parting words.
I know. I actually thought of you. I was like, Mom and Dad are fighting.
I was like, oh, that is super harsh. And then he goes off and dies. Like,
right. Yeah, no,
Oh,
they had this horrible, kind of ugly relationship fight, potentially relationship ending fight, and then he goes and dies.
yeah.
And
That
while I don't think Alicia was as into the relationship as he was, I do think she cared about him.
yeah. Yeah. Um I think he probably cared more about her,
I think you're
but
right.
I think she's just already so closed off from everyone she's lost that.
And I do think the relationship had a chance to grow.
Oh, definitely.
So that's
Yeah.
unfortunate. And I think she's probably going to be pretty devastated.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to be devastated, but will also be the one that soldiers on. She'll be devastated in, her quiet time.
Well, and so I can't remember if they talked about it on Talking Dead. I think they did because the girl who plays Ophelia was on Talking Dead, and she's pregnant, by the way. Congratulations to the actress. She was talking about how Crazy Dog and Walker kind of bow to her every whim and how she has so much more power in the nation. And so I kind of think that we're almost being set up to have Alicia and Ophelia be the new leaders.
Yeah. Well, look at what Walker told Salazar. She's seen as a hero. She's a warrior.
She's a warrior, yeah.
Yeah. He really legitimately respects her. Whether she likes it or not, I mean, I think she feels a little guilty about what she did. But
about the anthrax, yeah.
Yeah, but, her and Alicia are definitely looked up to. I mean, when there were a whole bunch of ranchers up in Jake's room and like they were trying to bully him right after he's getting over being infected from anthrax and his dad just died, and they're trying to bully him, and she comes in and puts her foot down, so yeah, I can totally see the potential of Ophelia and Alicia becoming the alphas of the groups, which I would love to see.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
Madison can just be like the roadie.
Madison Strand, the supporting crew, Stratison.
He can go fetch water.
Or Madistrand.
Madistrand.
Oh, what else? So I wanted to say a little bit more about Brothers Keeper. So I was thinking about that in the context of the original series. And when you think about it, that theme and that relationship is repeated over and over again. Rick and Glenn, Rick and Daryl, Daryl and Merle, Rick and Shane. So there's very much this Brothers Keeper theme throughout both episodes or both shows.
Yeah, and even what's his name with the staff who lost his son?
Oh, Morgan.
Yeah, even Rick and Morgan, I see kind of a Brothers Keeper relationship with them.
I think you're right.
And why can I not remember his name? Eugene and
Eugene.
Abe. Abe and Eugene definitely had a Brothers Keeper relationship.
I'm still heartbroken. I know I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. The band is never going to get together again.
Yeah, after they all die, they will.
Nice.
We're getting the band back together in heaven.
And by the way, did you know heaven actually God is missing and there's this evil entity we think maybe evil named Genesis? Oops, crossover. Oh, what else? You got anything else? Oh, I have something else.
Go right ahead.
So, did you read the cross stitch that Jake's rocket launcher was hidden behind?
Oh, I did, and I can't remember what it said.
God helps those who help themselves.
Yes. So I flashed on Shawshank Redemption because that's where the safe was hidden behind a cross stitch that the wife had done. And so I'm like, okay, note to self, anytime there's a cross stitch with like a vaguely biblical saying on it, look behind it.
I was just thinking those preppers had a heck of a sense of humor. God helps those who help themselves. Do they help themselves by shooting things, or do they help themselves to the weapon and the ammos? Both.
I would say yes. Yeah, I thought it was interesting when he went into like the barn area and everything, and there was all kinds of pots and pans and stuff scattered around.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm just really surprised that place wasn't cleaned out by Walker's group. And he even managed to find some canned food. And yeah, it was just, I was really surprised that and for me, I would have been like, okay, this is home. This is where I set up camp, you know, and he was actually seemed to be going there to die. You know, he was getting ready to off himself and turns around and poof, there's 1,000 walkers that he can utilize.
And I think it goes back to him being a spiteful psychopath. That's all I can think of.
Because any sane, you know, any one of us, any sane, rational person with a morale and conscience, we would have gone straight back to the ranch and been like, look, I know I'm a jerk and you don't want me here. I just want to warn you, there's this thing coming that you need to be prepared for. And by the way, can I get some more canned supplies and water? Because I'm going to be going in a different direction than this horde. So have a good time. You know, like that would have been me, you know, they kicked me out and everything, but I kind of deserved it. But I would have gone and warned them, resupplied, and then been on my merry way. You know, I'm not that spiteful or crazy, apparently.
Crazy.
My doctor has the medication right now. I don't do those things anymore.
Oh my God. But I better not hang out with you in the zombie apocalypse because the medication is going to be running thin.
Yes. I mean, I can self-medicate with tea and alcohol, but that only lasts so long too.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah, I don't think I do either.
I'm just looking through my notes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, not really. I'm unhappy with Nick. I think Nick kind of facilitated Jake's death, but, you know, we'll see how that all shakes out.
I thought Troy he kind of let it slide that Nick was like, oh, by the way,
I killed your dad.
Madison didn't kill your dad. I killed your dad.
Maybe Troy was just so relieved that his mommy lover, Madison, didn't kill his father. Ew. Maybe that's why he let it slide.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a weird little interaction. Yeah.
Well, I just realized something. Do you know what we have completely forgotten over the last several episodes?
No.
We should probably think about taking it.
We should take it
one dead day at a time. Almost.
And that was our best yet. See, we didn't need practice. We needed to take a break from it.
So we have 4 more episodes of this show.
We do, but it's only 3 more weeks.
Right, because 3 weeks until the opener of The Walking Dead.
Yep.
I'm traveling for education, so you and Brian are going to burn it down.
Yep.
You guys are going to have 1 and 2.
Are we?
Realize. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll get the band back together for 3.
I think that would be good, especially because I'm going to be playing catch up. The person that I'm staying with in Washington does not like The Walking Dead.
What?
She says it gives her nightmares.
Oh.
She can't watch it because it gives her nightmares. Not that she doesn't think it's good writing, it's just too much.
Really? Reading the newspaper gives me nightmares.
Oh my God, watching the news gives me nightmares. All right, everybody, have a good week, and we will talk to you a week from now.
Have a good one.